Good morning, students. Today, from Politics, Chapter 7 Outcomes of Democracy, we are going to discuss the topic Reduction of Inequality and Poverty. So, here it goes. Perhaps more than development, it is reasonable to expect democracy to reduce economic disparities. Even when a country achieves economic growth, will wealth be distributed in such a way that all citizens of the country will have a share and lead a better life? Is economic growth in democracies accompanied by increased inequalities among the people, or do democracies lead to a just distribution of goods and opportunity? So, in this part, it is said that development or from democracy, or expectation from democracy is that we want that economic disparities must be reduced. So here some questions are given. All citizens of the country will have a share and lead a better life, because in a democracy many people are there, as their economic condition is not same. So the question arises here that all share and lead a better life. We cannot say that yes. Is economic growth in democracies accompanied by increased inequalities among the people? Economic growth, every year it is happening, but can we say that it increases the inequality among the people also? Or in a democracy, can we say in a way that a distribution of goods and opportunities only are happening? So, according to the topic, now we are discussing. Democracies are based on political equality. All individuals have equal weight in electing representatives. So democracy mainly based on political equality, and in class 9 we got one person, one vote, one value. That means all individuals are getting equal weight in the political scenario. Parallel to the process of bringing individuals into the political arena on an equal footing, we find growing economic inequalities. As in the politics, we are getting equality, all people are getting equalities, but in the economical sector, we are getting inequalities are exceeding. A small number of ultra-rich enjoy a highly disproportionate share of wealth and incomes. Not only that, their share in the total income of the country has been increasing. So it is very common thing in the society. We can see only a few people who are considered as the ultra rich, they are enjoying most of the facilities from economic part, and their income, share of income in the total income of the country is also increasing day after day. Those at the bottom of the society have very little to depend upon. Their incomes have been declining. But the lowest economic people, their income is decreasing or reducing, and they have to depend on many things, as because they don't have that much economic support by themselves. Their incomes, sometimes they find it difficult to meet their basic needs of life, such as food, clothing, house, education, health, etc. And it is a real case that in many of the times we can see that whoever the people economically not sound, they are facing problem for their existence, like food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare, etc. In actual life, democracy do not appear to be very successful in reducing economic inequalities. So in a practical life, we can say that democracy is not that way successful to reduce economic inequality. The poor constitute a large proportion of our voters, and no party will like to lose their votes. Yet, democratically elected governments do not appear to be keen to address the question of poverty as you would expect them to. So, as the population is too much in our country, among them most of the people are poor. Political parties only taking care of these poor people as their vote bank during the time of election. But for the reduction their economic crisis, can we say that political parties are working too much for the poor people? I don't think so. The situation is much worse in some other countries. In Bangladesh, more than half of the population lives in poverty. So it is not only the case in India, even in the other countries, like here it is in Bangladesh, half of the population is in poverty. People in several poor countries are now dependent on rich countries even for food supplies. And there are many countries where people are dependent on other countries for the basic need like food. Next topic we are discussing here, accommodation of social diversity. So from the second paragraph I'm continuing. No society can fully and permanently resolve conflicts among different groups. So conflicts is a matter which will remain in every society, in every group, in more or less way. So it cannot be reduced fully. But we can certainly learn to respect these differences, and we can also evolve mechanisms to negotiate these differences. But we need to negotiate these differences, we need to resolve the problems. Democracy is best suited to produce this outcome, and in this matter we can say democracy is the best form of government. Non-democratic regimes often turn a blind eye or to suppress internal social differences. What happened in the non-democratic country? Which part of the society is little heavier or influential? The non-democratic government supporting them and try to suppress the problems in the society. Ability to handle social differences, divisions and conflict is thus definite plus point of democratic regime. So what are the good points of democracy? It can resolve the social division, differences and conflicts. But the example of Sri Lanka reminds us that in the first chapter, in the Sri Lankan story we got, we can say from there that democracy must fulfill two conditions. What are these two conditions? First one is, it is necessary to understand that democracy is not simply ruled by majority opinion. The majority always needs to work with the minority so that governments function to represent the general view. Majority and minority opinions are not permanent. In earlier classes, we already got that majority in democracy or in political arena, majority never be counted by numbers. So here it is given that democracy is not a rule by majority, it's a rule by people. So when majority is supposed to work, then minority's opinion need to take their representation, their views need to accept. Minority and majority opinions are not permanent. As I said, if you are giving a good opinion alone, then also you can be considered as a majority, because that will good for the masses. That's why I said that majority in politics or in democracy never counted with numbers. The second one is, it is also necessary that a rule by majority does not become rule by majority community in terms of religion, race and linguistic group, etc. So rule by majority means what? That is where in as per politics, where most of the people are supporting, most of the people are expecting that group of people should rule the country. But majority doesn't mean that majority by religion or majority by caste. Rule by majority means that in case of every decision or in case of every election, different persons and groups may and can form a majority. Majority means that today suppose I am the majority, tomorrow because my opinion is good today, tomorrow if you are giving a good opinion, then you can be considered as majority. It can change over time. Democracy remains a democracy only as long as every citizen has a chance of being majority at some point of time. So democracy will remain as democracy only when everyone today or tomorrow will get the chance in the political matters. If someone is barred from being majority on the basis of birth, then the democratic rule ceases to be accommodative for the person or group. That means here it is said that we cannot discriminate any person only on the reason of their basis of birth. So in that way majority cannot exist. I think you understood this one. Thank you for today. Next topic we are going to discuss as dignity and freedom of the citizens. Thank you.